Hey, welcome back everyone. You're watching TorNis Entertainment, where we stream masterpieces looking for hardcore and breaking games. We have some exciting news today to share with you about Phoenix Point, and there's gonna be two videos. This one about a Hypnos update, and later there will be a video, Season 4, Day 10, a long-awaited continuation of Season 4. And of course, during that video there will be a discussion about the game as a whole, the meta state, my Season 4 plans, and Season 5 as well for the upcoming DLC, of course. Stay tuned for that. But for now, let's do the Hypnos update read through. Like this, it's not exactly patched, but there's just a lot of spicy information being released. And I want to give my review, like opinion analysis, as I always do in these videos. So let's go. Upcoming Hypnos update changes, faction diplomacy research, and more. So October 1st is the release for all the console for the Phoenix Point, and of course DLC for Corrupted Horizon as well. And there's gonna be patch called Hypnos for the PC players. So this is the topic here. Hypnos are next free update on PC, quality of life improvements, community requested by community, and additional field fans who enjoy. Console players also receive Hypnos later in October, after the Behemoth Edition release. Alright, so just a spoiler before we go deeper into the reading. This Hypnos update is truly one of the biggest pieces of balancing / kind of quality of life things that this game was lacking since the release of the game. And that one piece is gonna be right here. Unfortunately, there's still one huge piece missing, but we'll talk about it later. Alright, so with Hypnos, players will be able to shift how they tackle the geoscape as we introduce more strategic decision-making around whom to work with through campaign with rewards house, alongside harsher diplomatic penalties when ignoring threats or engaging in hostile actions against factions. Revealed Pandaren colonies that are left unchecked will negatively affect faction havens in their operating range, giving the players a tougher choice to deal with continue to suffer diplomatic repercussions. These penalties will continue to occur over time, meaning the longer the island base is operational, the more affected factions will start to turn on Phoenix. Of course, then at any time, players can invade the colony, gaining a diplomatic reward for doing so, which now includes a bonus for those factions that were threatened. And there's a screenshot that demonstrates this feature. Attitude change in a timer, and then if destroyed. So this is pretty cool change. So by the way, so let me just highlight this. These penalties will continue to occur over time, meaning this is basically counter to this. I mean, one of the degen strats basically when you play games like this, by abusing mechanics, like taking advantage of things. And one of the strategy was to specifically leave these nests, layers, and citadels on purpose so that they generate more attacks, you generate more missions, you actually have content to play with. Missions means experience, SP, rewards, all sorts of things, loot if you let the people die there, which is another exploit kind of thing. But yeah, plenty of reason not to kill it unless you have to. Well, obviously you want to kill one for the sake of research and the other progression thing. And if you're playing like without doing that, of course you want just as fast as possible to get the diplomacy relationship for the next tier and all that. And this is actually really important as we progress through the reading that Hypnos update features. So yeah, pretty cool change. I like that. So if you're gonna purposely delay, you're gonna get more penalties. That being said, I'm gonna be honest, these penalties that being displayed right here in early game screenshot is pathetic. Like, I mean, first of all, 4 days in game, it's a lot. It's a lot. And also, I'm just gonna point that out, screenshot is January 25th, which is like, you can almost complete the entire meta game of, like, mid-game of the Phoenix Point campaign on Legend Iron Man by that time, and this screenshot is like barely any action on Geoscape. Yeah, 7 people, 1 vehicle, 1 aircraft. This is pretty scuffed. Well, there's probably the DLC disabled. I don't see Behemoth and all that. But yeah, whatever. It's just like a kind of better representation, I guess, of actual gameplay, but even like on other difficulties that wouldn't be the case here. But yeah, this 4 days, you can do so much in that time frame, so that couple minus, and this is Haven reputation, by the way. Yeah, honestly, this is nothing, and you can pump the positive reputation in that span like much higher than that. But yeah, very cool change nonetheless. It's basically kind of like making sense lore-wise, and not aesthetic. I mean to say, just gameplay flow makes sense that you get punished for that, and yeah, nice. Faction technology rewards are also being reworked to keep research more meaningful through the mid-late game. Now players will unlock research access at earlier and multiple diplomacy levels with a faction, but that technology will only come partially researched and will need to be completed by Phoenix in order to be leveraged. This also emphasizes managing faction relations if a player wants to access their knowledge, which leads us to the big one: hostile faction actions. Well, before that, let's just discuss this one first. So that's pretty huge. I think they say the next one is pretty huge, but well, I mean it is, but this one is also important. So basically, before you had this stupid thing, which is one of my most hated features of the game, actually, and which makes a lot of like this discussion about difficulty and cheesing and all the extreme like power spike. You get all technology for free instantly the moment you get friendly with the faction, yeah? It is so stupidly powerful. The game rewards you and it pushes you into this triple alliance kind of deal. You get so much power through that, and it's a shame. The shame, really. I always was against this whole idea, but there we go. So now they changed. I don't actually have exact understanding how here. Well, the thing about this Hypnos update, let me give a context here. Hypnos update hasn't been tested with the community council members, these group of people who are like testing DLC and updates before the public usually gets. But this specific update, they don't have access to it, so they're also kind of speculating. There's actually a lot of interesting discussion going on with the Discord server within community council members, but we're gonna talk about that later, and of course in my next video about Season 4 and Season 5. So this specific thing, apparently, so you have different tiers of diplomacy here, just like before, but the idea is that some resources will be already like available through the specific stages of the game, as it points out here, and there will be partially research, not instant, so you have to still like, I assume it's 50%, yeah, so you have to still learn the whole thing afterwards yourself, and and also you have suddenly a choice to make, right? What you want to focus on. You have like a list of all the available technology you can get, and you have to choose what one is best for you. But then again, of course, that will leave us to choosing the best probably things ever, you know, like rushing to laser technology, combining other technology with other faction technology, those good old stuff, that multi-class, the aircraft stuff. Well, we'll see what's the most important one, but I'm pretty sure this is gonna be also a beast, as everything unfortunately gets a beast in the Phoenix Point at the end of the day, even by the community council members, even the people who try to play with the restrictions and make some custom challenges. At the end of the day, whatever remains in a game, it's gonna be still a beast, or min-maxed to some degree. Anyway, we're introducing bigger diplomatic penalties when players choosing to engage in hostile actions against factions. The better the turn with a faction, the more immediate and severe consequence for that bad behavior will be. Oh my god, like, when I saw it, I was like, finally. How long has been waiting for this, or something like this? Oh yes, penalties for aggressive nonsense that the game allows. In addition to harsher, significantly more impactful penalties for these actions, players can also expect some changes in how factions alert levels will increase. To start, when players choose a raise tab-steal technology, steal aircraft against a faction, all of that faction havens will raise its alert level. Once that alert level reaches 3 high, the player can no longer engage in hostile actions, faction missions, and must wait a certain period of time for alert level to drop. So in other words, they finally introduced the cap how much you can even attack to begin with, because you could... I don't even want to discuss because it's so nasty, like how in the past everybody could with ease just cheese a bunch of these recruits, steal research missions, sabotage in one turn and just run through the map, activate the boosts and psionic the cry ability, and then just rush through the whole map, activate bam and complete it. And you get SP, you get rewards, and you just like pim, continue. You just have to suffer through loading screens, and pretty much that was your penalty, or so to speak. Disgusting. But hey, there we go, alert levels. So they ban essentially doing any more missions after you reach level 3. And also they mentioned how there will be consequences. So for example, I assume like steal aircraft missions will have just bigger like penalty to begin with. Additionally, diplomacy penalty will impact the player's ability to gain access to shared research and faction missions, taking much longer to earn back the goodwill required to reach those. Okay, this is, I don't know, nobody knows that exactly how this works, even the community council members. But that is cool. So not only like the whole negative thing will happen, but you lose. Okay, so this is I couldn't get an answer on Discord about this, but I'm honestly personally scared about this one. So this is fantastic if it works correctly 100%, but let's be realistic. This is like Phoenix Point we're talking about here. There's gonna be probably some bugs, unfortunately, and this is not just a changing math numbers or like whatever. This is actually introducing brand new mechanic here, and this is a scary one. So you lose access to the shared research, right? So but then again, I'm not sure, like when you research the shared research, like for example, if you research Jericho aircraft technology, yeah, and it technically counts like a shared, right? Well, before you get it for free, yeah, and it will stay for free entire game. So now I assume, so first of all you leave like a 50%, and then you have to research yourself the rest, and then it's gonna be counted as old school shared research. So do you suddenly lose access to the Jericho aircraft technology and many others, of course, if you have them, and faction missions? So if that's the case, then like I'm just predicting there's gonna be some bugs with the base management and possibly other things I couldn't even, like, I'm not developer, I don't have to really think about this too much, but remember the game have a lot of these meta progression, like unlocks, upgradables kind of things, like these building buffs, resources buffs, like experience, the points, and all sorts of like things like that. So through research, even some of the important story stuff is and DLC is behind the research in a way. So if you lose access to this, there might be some weird interactions, basically. That's what I'm trying to say. I'm scared, but I gotta put a trust. Then again, we don't exactly know how this works yet. Alright, so pretty exciting though. If this works correctly, I'm very, very... what is that word in English? Basically a reverse of against it. I'm all over the place. I want to, like, this is you have to raise the payment, I mean not payment, but raise the wage for the person who come up with this, and the developer. They deserve that. That's like super cool thing to actually finally like have the real consequences, penalties. More so, we're making some key changes to steal research on both geoscape and tactical level to better equalize risk reward, if at all. Also, by the way, this whole like nerf for the stealing stuff and aggression, like some people don't play with that at all, and that means that, well, and most likely these changes doesn't really matter to you too much. But There are definitely people who abuse the shit out of this whole systems, including myself in the past campaigns. I was doing a showcase for the game essentially and showing all possibilities and what's not. But yeah, factions, havens, will research zones will have specific research assigned to them once a player has visited. Okay, this is more code into the game and it could mess up some. I'm actually kind of afraid of this. Like, I get the logic and it's kind of cool, but this could mess shit up here. This gives more visibility into what reward may be, so you suddenly have vision on what you're gonna steal of, essentially. If opting to engage in some technology theft, but on tactical level, Phoenix must now hack one of the consoles available, with a hacking operative unable to perform any other actions for 2 turns while hacking. So this can be cancelled if things go south. Nice, by the way. But the hacking will start from the scratch. Upon completing the hack, players will also need to extract the mission, make it not as easy task to soup in the vanish. Okay, so perfect. They completely busted on that type of mission. Should have been on the release, honestly, but here we go. After almost, what, 2 years now? So no more instant completion, no more instant that, and also you have to wait a couple turns before you complete the hack. Fantastic, so you have to actually fight the map or do something about there. That being said, of course, if you care about doing these missions to begin with, if you intend to play that route, I'm gonna discuss the pluses and minuses of those routes in probably my next video about Season 4, Day 10 and so forth. I have a lot in my mind actually about this whole like alliance versus stealing stuff. Alright, so here's the next screenshot, but it's about the new feature here. Beyond diplomacy changes to the game, we're also introducing a new way to bolster your ranks with the possibility of so basically RNG, of recruiting soldiers after Haven defense infested Haven missions. After a successful mission, there is a chance that one of the surviving defenders the defender will join Phoenix, providing a player has a positive relationship with the faction and available space via living quarters. This recruitment chance is affected by difficulty level, with a much higher rate than Legend, for example. So what does it mean actually? Is that like, again, Legend difficulty means it's like the lowest? This recruitment chance is affected by difficulty level, with a much higher rate than... so it says affected by difficulty with a much higher rate than Legend. Seems like, I mean, maybe I'm wrong, but it feels like based on this wording, Legend means is you have the worst chance for this. Well, fuck them. Stop, like, how many times Legend difficulty is gonna, like, I mean, it's not important, but, like, the fact that Legend difficulty not, I mean, generally, why they do this? Like, limiting amount of vehicles, free aircrafts for free, like, free weapon armor, like, on the units. Imagine in XCOM, your units would be naked upon, like, actually getting them. While the game offers the full equip on... I just don't get it, this whole, like... You can make difficulty, so more enemies, more, like, resource, like... decrease and other numbers, but why would you do something like just ban or straight away like take away from Legend players? Whatever, it's not that important. For example, just like sometimes it feels like a plain different game, you know, when you select Legend difficulty in this specific game compared to many others. For example, but this should encourage keeping some of these defenders alive versus merely using them as a cannon fodder. You're cruel strategist. Another, as earlier, people, the developers, it seems like called out some people here who do the degen strategies, and there goes another call out here. So this should encourage keeping. Oh, really? Should encourage. First of all, they have their own AI. They're being pretty dumbass, and they usually go to the like front lines and messing up the movement and attack order and all that. But this is just AI things. So cannon fodder might happen without your control. But yeah, once you control them, you just generally use them as a scout or something else. But the biggest abuse of this canned fodder is that people do that so that they die and you get a chance to get a weapon drop. You know, getting an, especially on higher difficulties in this game, getting a weapon drop is pretty pog. Outside of some bug fixes, some additional features players can expect this update include to help. Okay, so this is even more stuff here. To help speed income generation, Ancient Site Resources and Legacy of the Ancients DLC. These sites can generate passive income. So on top of your normal mechanic, they also added slight, like tiny bit passive income. Which is nice, because a lot of people were confused to begin with how to even mine and get resources from all these things. The earning resources for each working archaeology lab, so if you have 1 lab or 2 crystal cores, will generate 2 crystals each day. Having 2 labs will generate 4 crystals per day. That being said, per day, so this is pretty, again, rough here. Like, you don't want to rely on this too much. Of course, mine it yourself, collect it. Each day in Phoenix Point, especially on Legend difficulty, is worth a lot once you go through the, like, couple first weeks of gameplay, essentially. Once your geoscape is gonna get bigger, you have multiple bases, multiple aircrafts, and all the good stuff, even without stealing. Of course, you can achieve that. Just a reminder how this whole thing works. Don't let it fool you, essentially. This passive income is garbage, but it exists and it's kind of cool and will give some people satisfaction if they want to like skip entire month to get some resources that way. Or at the end game, maybe. Now within the game settings, you can select whenever you want aircraft to auto unpause, set by default. Never auto unpause for more control. Auto unpause only when aircraft is in control, or auto unpause only when all aircraft are traveling. This is probably, I kind of want to make a thumbnail about it or some kind of like excitement face about this. This is the this shouldn't be that important, but it is. This is the reason I want to nut here. Finally, you don't have to install some like obscure, obnoxious mod on Nexus, which is all. This game is actually hard to mod. You have to install custom like mod installation for this, and there, from what I know, there's been a mod like Quality of Life Collection or something like that have 10,000 different quality of lives, which is not even quality of life. It's like changing game mechanics there, and it's kind of scary even. So the problem is that this feature right here that I just read, it is available there, but to install it, you have to install other like 10,000 different quality of lives things that potentially change the game, and you don't even know what you don't know the full list, and you might wonder what even you changed and installed it. So to make it work as you want here, you need to untick somewhere and remove everything else from the mod except for this one thing. So I didn't even bother. Like, I really wanted this feature a long time ago, but I didn't bother with any of those mods. And of course, before, I would say, like, this is kind of funny, but these patches, this one and, well, update, and when they introduced the patch with, I forget the code name for it, but I think it was 1.10 or something, Oryx. So animation speed of characters in a game finally was official, and you can change it, and everybody would just like obviously enable this to the maximum, and people would play with that. Before that, you had to use cheat engine or some kind of other mods, essentially, to accelerate your game. It's kind of annoying how they introduced that too late, and again, this is way too late, but finally we're gonna have it. So why I'm making a big deal out of this, you might ask. It's just like fucking some kind of auto-pause thing here. I don't even understand, you might ask. Well, if you watched my gameplay, if you watched my season 1, 2, 3, 4, and soon to be 5, you know I like my control of aircrafts. I like my management of every single hour or 30 minutes in-game timer, and sometimes I'm forced to play on the first speed of the game, which is super slow, but because of these auto-pause things that happen. So essentially there was a system where, like, every time there's aircraft reach somewhere, like something happens with them, there will be... you want to pause the game normally, yeah, but you accidentally pause it again, So the game would do this in some cases and some not, depending on the context. And you in a brain want to pause the game, obviously, so the time will don't go after a specific event or building complete or whatever. And then you will press the pause, which will be fake because the game already paused, and you unpause it, and then the game will go forward again. And especially if you have high speed or third speed, for God's sake, the time will go, and there's gonna be more events completed, and you didn't pause it because the game will not pause it anymore. So essentially I was just fucking up this, like, it was just stressful for no reason really, and you had to look carefully when to pause it and pause it for the, again, air control and geoscape management better. And by the way, speaking of quality of life things, is that I wish they would pause the game on some of the like Haven events, like attacks and the construction buildings notifications. So although notifications that happen through this right side of the log thing, they don't even pause the game, so it was already kind of annoying. But there we go, finally this feature will be available for you to customize. I will definitely make a good use of it. Oh, for sure. Alright, enough talking about this, let's go next. New cinematic library is available via the main menu, so players can watch any unlocked cinematics and never miss a chance to view their favorite moments. Well, whatever. Game doesn't really have too many crazy quote-unquote cinematics, but just more like art, essentially, with voice acting. Okay, sure. Games do all of that generally. A balance adjustment where players can remove Mark of the Void by disabling eyes of the Ugothian entity. If you don't know what this means, don't worry about it yet. Well, this is basically useless change because what they're saying is that the Mark of the Void is that curse of the final boss, essentially, yeah. And you will take every turn damage. But, you know, disabling every single eye on the Ugothian entity generally means you're already, like, overkill the thing, or you killed it. You definitely killed this thing before this happened, so... Again, like, amazing features, amazing changes, even scary changes here coming up for the game mechanics, which might introduce bugs, because it's a Phoenix Point. But... And then they have this, which kinda... Like, how did they even test this? They have the testing team called console community members. These guys break the game just like I do. They, like, submit these campaign save files, they submit videos, they showcase the abuses, glitches, they submit so many abusable, like, complete game destruction things. Even some are even more harsher than I do on my streams. And nothing really happens almost. There's like huge list of balance changes, propositions, most of that was not touched either. And then we have like this change. Who thought that this actually is gonna even work? I mean, it's kind of makes sense that it's gonna be disabled that way, but then like practically this is so stupid because you're gonna kill the thing. I mean, you saw I tried to deal with this final boss with different weapons, no matter how close you're in open, like this, like it's really hard to hit multiple eyes to begin with in one shot and one not. And some of the eyes are very like obscure to hit, and you will probably do a lot of damage already to the body, or you can even hit, like you get another turn where you can hit the eye again and it opens. Anyway, whatever, it doesn't matter. Let's pretend it doesn't exist, I guess. Hypnos will be available for PC again on October 1st. Alongside DLC for Corrupted Horizons. By the way, Corrupted Horizons, it's also they haven't announced the news for the new class and I guess another type of enemy, but well, there's already a hot discussion about the Corrupted Horizons on the official Discord happening with the community council members. If you want to see what's up, you can also join that. I also participate when I can there. But yeah, just be careful. There's kind of like there's two sides: normal players, you know, kind of casuals, enjoyers, and what's not, and then there's tryhards like me, council community members, and other XCOM essentially veterans tryhards, and these players who are just completely wreck the AI balance and all sorts of things like that. There's gonna be, when you go to the discussion of Phoenix Point, there'll be some clashes of opinions, which is cool. This is what I like about how healthy Discord servers to begin with. Alright, so that's all on this article. Pretty much, definitely the auto pause thing and the change on diplomacy. So let's talk about the how this whole diplomacy change will affect everybody. Well, from projection on DLC 4, first of all, there's some information that I can share. DLC 4 gameplay tests by the community council members. They say that the game pace is now slightly slowed down. So basically that means that because of some changes within there's less Haven defense missions overall at the start of the game, and some factions are buffed. I think they mentioned Pure is buffed, can appear like in some other places, and other things that basically make things slightly harder. So you will not be able to achieve crazy things as you could before on the same time frame as before. And that could also change depending on how Hypnos, like this research ban and like this 50% thing is gonna be with shared research as well. We'll have to test that or play ourselves. But they're saying already with DLC 4 build, the pace is slower. Well, in early game. And you have new threats, obviously, you have to deal with them. Which will further try to spice up the gameplay. And the consensus is that the total amount of diplomacy points you get now is lower than before. So it still will be big, but not as high as before. So you will get like alliances slower. That's the whole point I was trying to make. Which is great. The alliances is one of those extreme things that I hate about this game. Well, hate in loving way, I guess, when I say it. Despise and hate a lot of things, of course, and those two extremes of alliances and versus the stealing and aggroing and taking advantage of the sabotage and stealing and getting the spike on resources everywhere. That's another extreme. That's great. All these features, hopefully they'll be working as intended. The lock and ban of the research, I love it. 50% or something like that with the shared research, and then you have to choose which ones to research yourself, select. Alert level, nice. The RNG recruit on Haven Defender is kind of funny, but not that important. Yeah, I am very happy about this reveal of the information Hypnos. The previous one was kind of, a little bit let down, but this one definitely makes me smile a lot. One thing I mentioned earlier in the video is that one key piece is missing. Yeah, like we got one key piece here, and I was referencing for the diplomacy overall. Well, it's not like a mechanic override. They just updated it in a way, but it's still what I wanted personally from this game. Have a proper limit on how much you can go negative with factions, how many missions you can attack them, how many sabotages, how many steal you can do, or have some serious repercussions. And of course I wanted something to slow down this fucking alliance thing and have this shared research also somehow revamped. So that's what I wanted. The second piece that we're missing still is, well, I guess it's just a huge topic about the game itself, and people can make essays here, pretty much, those who are passionate about the game, but I'm talking about AI and skill rebalance propositions. And multi-class skill rebalance, all that combined. So this thing, apparently devs are gonna focus on doing this after DLC 4 release, maybe closer to DLC 5, and closer to the end cycle of development. This is apparently, which is kind of weird how it's turned to be like this, but one of the most important things is still not taken care of and being pushed. But then again, you can get them. They're trying to release the game on consoles, sell more. Essentially, I mean, they're doing stuff that pleases more. You probably noticed the tendency of these updates to begin with. They're pleasing more like the general public here and the casuals rather than some kind of like streamers, YouTubers, and Discord degens who are playing this game in Legend Iron Man with special rule sets and limitations and what's not. But yeah, there's still no change to these OP things that exist in the game. And well, I mean, I'm not gonna talk about this on this video. I'm probably gonna discuss it more on the next one. Season 4, Day 10. How fucking busted everything is, and still easy accessible for any kind of player, and how AI behaves is just sometimes sad, really. But then again, we all love Phoenix Point for what it is, and it's definitely came a long way since the release. Already so many additional packs of content, and there's gonna come another one soon. I expect there's gonna be information released by devs in next week about the new class. That's their last probably big remaining piece of information for DLC before release. I probably will make a video about that as well, and stay tuned. Once again, thanks for watching. I hope you enjoyed this review of a new information and analysis. And of course, don't forget that there's gonna be soon, just after YouTube is done processing and uploading all that, there's gonna be Season 4 Day 10 and discussion about the future of my Phoenix Point content and Season 5. I'll see you there, and have a great one.